The unexpected arrival. The stars twinkled like diamonds against the backdrop of the endless black void. Aboard the ESS Horizon, humanity's most advanced exploration vessel, Captain Elise Carter gazed out from the observation deck. The ship had been traveling through uncharted regions of space for the past 6 months, far beyond the fringes of the galaxy humanity had explored. The mission? To seek out new life and new civilizations, to expand the boundaries of what was known to mankind. Ellis had always believed that there was something out there, other intelligent species, perhaps even ones more advanced than humans. But until now, there had been no concrete evidence. That was until the Horizon picked up a strange signal 3 days ago. The source of the signal was an uninhabited planet, at least according to their scans. However, there was something unnatural about the way the signal kept repeating itself in perfect intervals, like a beacon calling out to anyone who would listen. As the Horizon approached the planet, Ellis's heart raced with anticipation. She stood beside Dr. Samuel Drake, the ship's lead xenobiologist, who had been just as eager as Elise to make contact with whatever or whoever had sent that signal. "It's got to be some kind of message," Samuel muttered, his eyes fixated on the screen showing the incoming data stream. Alice nodded but remained silent, her mind racing. What if they had finally found proof of extraterrestrial intelligence? What if they were about to encounter a species more advanced than humanity could ever imagine? "Captain," a voice called over the comms, breaking her reverie. It was Ensign Harper, the ship's navigator. "We've entered the planet's orbit. Scans show no signs of life, but the signal's stronger here." "Take us down," Elise commanded. "Let's see what we're dealing with." The descent to the planet's surface was smooth, and the landing site was carefully chosen, a vast open plain surrounded by strange, towering rock formations. The sky above was a deep shade of blue, and the air outside the ship was breathable, though thin. Elise and her team suited up and prepared for the first surface expedition. Alongside her were Dr. Drake, Ensign Harper, and Lieutenant Marcus Reynolds, the security officer in charge of ensuring the crew's safety. Together, they stepped out of the Horizon and into the unknown. The planet was eerily quiet, save for the soft hum of the wind that swept across the plains. The signal was still transmitting, growing stronger as they approached a massive structure in the distance. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before, a monolithic tower of smooth black stone that seemed to absorb the sunlight, casting a long shadow across the barren landscape. "This has to be it," Samuel said, scanning the structure with his handheld device. "The signal's coming from inside." "Let's be cautious," Elise warned. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they approached the entrance to the tower, the door slid open with a low hiss, revealing a dark corridor that stretched deep into the heart of the structure. There were no markings, no signs of life, just an overwhelming sense of emptiness. "Stay close," Marcus ordered, keeping his weapon at the ready as they ventured inside. The walls of the corridor were lined with strange, glowing symbols that flickered in and out of existence as they passed by. Ellis's mind raced with possibilities. Could this be some kind of alien technology? Or was it an ancient ruin left behind by a long-extinct civilization? As they ventured deeper, the signal grew louder, almost deafening in its intensity. Finally, they reached the end of the corridor, where a large chamber awaited them. In the center of the room was a pedestal, atop which sat a small glowing orb. "That's it," Samuel breathed, stepping forward cautiously. "That's the source of the signal." "Wait," Elise warned, her instincts kicking in. Something about this didn't feel right. But it was too late. As Samuel reached out to touch the orb, a blinding light filled the chamber, and the ground beneath them began to shake violently. The walls of the room seemed to come alive, shifting and morphing, as if the structure itself were reacting to their presence. "What's happening?" Harper shouted, panic rising in her voice. Before anyone could answer, the light faded, and standing before them was a figure. A tall, slender being with shimmering, translucent skin and glowing eyes. It didn't speak, but its presence was overwhelming, and Elise felt a strange pressure in her mind, as if the creature were trying to communicate telepathically. "We mean you no harm," Elise said, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. "We're explorers from a distant planet called Earth." The alien tilted its head, studying them intently. For a moment, there was only silence, and then, to Alice's shock, the creature spoke, not with words, but directly into her mind. "Humans," it said, its voice echoing in her thoughts. "You are early." "Early," Elise repeated, confused. "Early for what?" The alien didn't answer, but instead, it gestured toward the orb on the pedestal. "The beacon was not meant for you. It was meant for those who came before." "Before?" Samuel asked, his scientific curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" Again, the alien was silent, its expression unreadable. Then, without warning, it raised a hand, and the orb began to pulse with energy. The light intensified once more, and Elise felt a strange sensation wash over her, a feeling of weightlessness, as if the very fabric of reality was being altered around them. "Captain," Marcus shouted, but his voice sounded distant, almost as if it were coming from another dimension. And then, just as quickly as it had begun, it was over. The light faded, and the alien was gone. The chamber was silent once more, but something had changed. The orb no longer glowed, and the signal had stopped. "What just happened?" Harper asked, her voice shaking. "I don't know," Elise replied, trying to steady her breathing. "But whatever that was, it wasn't meant for us." Samuel knelt by the pedestal, studying the now inert orb. "This technology, it's beyond anything we've ever seen. I think this was a warning system, or maybe even a failsafe." "A failsafe for what?" Marcus asked, his grip tightening on his weapon. "I don't know," Samuel admitted, "but I have a feeling we've just triggered something far bigger than we can understand." Alice's mind raced as she processed everything that had just happened. The alien, the beacon, the strange message, they were all connected, but how? And what did it mean for humanity? One thing was certain, their mission had just become a lot more complicated, and the Horizon's crew was now at the center of something far larger than they had ever anticipated. "Let's get back to the ship," Elise said, her voice firm. "We need to figure out what we're dealing with, and fast." Awakened secrets. The crew of the ESS Horizon hurried back to their ship, hearts pounding with the weight of what they had just witnessed. The alien, the beacon, and the cryptic message had shaken them to the core. Captain Elise Carter knew that whatever they had triggered was far beyond their comprehension. The gravity of the situation was unmistakable, and the pressure to understand it weighed heavily on her shoulders. Inside the ship's main briefing room, the crew gathered around the central holographic display. Elise stood at the head of the table, flanked by Dr. Samuel Drake, Ensign Harper, and Lieutenant Marcus Reynolds. The room was tense, the air thick with uncertainty. "I've never seen anything like it," Samuel said, breaking the silence. He had spent the past few hours analyzing the data they had collected from the alien structure, but the more he uncovered, the more questions arose. "That orb, the signal, it's all part of some kind of ancient technology, possibly millions of years old." "And that alien," Marcus interjected. "What was it? A guardian? A warning system? I don't like the fact that it just disappeared." "It told us we were early," Elise recalled, her mind racing. "Early for what?" "Whatever that means, we've definitely stumbled onto something we weren't supposed to." Harper, sitting quietly at the end of the table, finally spoke up. "What if this whole thing is a trap? What if we've activated something that's now coming after us?" Elise didn't respond right away. She had considered the possibility, but didn't want to jump to conclusions. Instead, she looked to Samuel, who had been their guiding force in understanding the alien technology so far. "Do you think there's any immediate danger?" Elise asked. Samuel hesitated, clearly uncertain. "There's no way to know for sure, but this technology, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered. It could be a weapon, a warning, or something else entirely. I don't think we're in immediate danger, but we shouldn't take any chances. Elise nodded. We need to understand what we've triggered, and quickly. If this is some kind of ancient technology, there's a chance other civilizations might be aware of it, or worse, they could be watching. Marcus, always the security-minded one, leaned forward. What do you want us to do, Captain? If this is a threat, we need to be ready to defend ourselves. We're not jumping to conclusions yet, Elise replied. But I want all departments on high alert. Marcus, double the security on the perimeter of the ship. No one goes out alone. And Samuel, I need you to focus all your efforts on analyzing that data. Whatever the alien meant by early, we need to figure it out. As the meeting ended, the crew dispersed, each tasked with a critical role. Elise remained behind for a moment, her mind still racing. She had always dreamed of making contact with an alien civilization, but this felt wrong. Something about the entire situation made her uneasy. Walking to the ship's observation deck, she stared out into the star-filled void. The planet below looked peaceful, serene even. But beneath its surface, Elise couldn't shake the feeling that they had awakened something that should have remained dormant. Meanwhile, in the ship's science lab, Samuel and his team worked tirelessly, running simulations and cross-referencing the data they had gathered from the alien structure. The holographic display flickered with complex graphs and patterns, all of which seemed to point to a single conclusion. This can't be right, Samuel muttered, his brow furrowed in concentration. What is it? Asked Dr. Irene Cho, one of the ship's engineers who had been assisting him with the analysis. Samuel pointed to the display. The signal we intercepted. It's not just a beacon, it's a transmission, a very old one. How old? Irene asked, her eyes widening. Millions of years, Samuel replied, and it wasn't meant for us. This transmission was designed to reach someone else, another species, or perhaps an entire network of civilizations. Irene's face paled. Do you think they'll respond? I don't know, Samuel admitted, but if we've intercepted it, it's possible that others have as well. Suddenly, the ship's intercom crackled to life. Captain Carter to the bridge, came Harper's voice, tense and urgent. We've detected an unknown object approaching the planet. Samuel's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that fast? Was someone already coming in response to the signal? Ellis hurried to the bridge, where Harper and the rest of the command crew were monitoring the situation. The holographic map displayed a fast-moving object, rapidly closing in on their position. What are we looking at? Elise asked, trying to remain calm. It just appeared on our long-range sensors a few minutes ago, Harper explained. It's moving fast, but we haven't been able to identify it yet. It's not giving off any recognizable signatures. Marcus, standing by the tactical console, frowned as he studied the readings. It could be a ship, but it's too small for a standard vessel. Maybe a probe, or something more advanced. Put it on the main screen, Elise ordered. The image flickered to life, showing a sleek, metallic object streaking through the atmosphere toward the planet's surface. It wasn't like anything they had seen before. No visible engines or thrusters, just a smooth, almost organic design that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Get me a full scan, Elise commanded. I want to know what we're dealing with. Harper quickly complied, but the data coming back was confusing. Captain, I'm not picking up any life signs. No power sources, nothing. It's like, it's dead. Then why is it moving? Marcus asked, his hand instinctively resting on his sidearm. Before anyone could answer, the object suddenly stopped mid-flight, hovering just above the alien structure they had explored earlier. The ship's sensors went wild, alarms blaring as the object emitted a pulse of energy that resonated across the entire planet. Shields up, Elise shouted, but the warning came too late. The energy pulse slammed into the horizon, causing the ship to shudder violently. The lights flickered, and several systems went offline as the crew scrambled to regain control. Status report, Elise demanded, gripping the edge of her console to steady herself. Harper's hands flew over her console, trying to stabilize the ship. "We've lost power in several sections, but the shields are holding. No hull breaches." Marcus scanned the tactical display. "That thing just knocked out half of our systems with a single pulse. Whatever it is, it's more dangerous than we thought." As the ship's systems began to stabilize, the unknown object remained motionless, hovering ominously over the alien structure. Ellis's mind raced with possibilities. Was this object part of the same ancient technology they had discovered, or was it something or someone else entirely? "We need answers," Elise said, her voice grim. "Samuel, can you get us any more data on that thing?" "I'll try," Samuel replied, already running new scans. "But whatever it is, it's not like anything we've seen before. It's using technology that we can barely comprehend." Alice's eyes narrowed as she watched the object on the screen. They had come to this planet seeking knowledge, but now it seemed they had found something far more dangerous. "Prepare a team," Elise ordered. "We're going back down there. We need to know what we've triggered and how to stop it." Into the unknown, Captain Elise Carter's decision to return to the planet's surface wasn't made lightly. The unknown object hovering over the alien structure posed a threat too great to ignore. The ship's systems were still stabilizing after the energy pulse, and Samuel's scans had provided few answers. The crew's curiosity mixed with fear, but Ellis knew they couldn't afford to sit and wait for something worse to happen. Ellis stood in the shuttle bay, watching as the final preparations were made for the team's descent. Alongside her were Samuel, Marcus, and Harper, all geared up and ready for the mission. They had spent years together on the ESS Horizon, and though Elise trusted them with her life, she couldn't shake the feeling that this mission was different, far more dangerous than anything they had faced before. "We'll be ready in 5 minutes, Captain," Marcus reported, adjusting the settings on his pulse rifle. "I've doubled the weapon loadout this time. No surprises." Elise nodded. "Good. Stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with, and I don't want anyone taking unnecessary risks." As they boarded the shuttle, Samuel glanced out the viewport toward the alien structure below. "I still don't understand what that thing is. Every scan tells me it's dormant, but the energy readings suggest it's very much alive." "Alive?" Harper echoed, her brows knitting together. "Like it's some kind of organism." "Not exactly," Samuel replied. "It's more like a system. A network of machines or biological components that function together. It's something we can't easily classify." "That makes me feel so much better," Marcus muttered sarcastically. The shuttle's engines hummed as it lifted off from the horizon, descending toward the planet's surface. As they neared the structure, the alien object above loomed larger, its sleek surface reflecting the light from the distant sun. It hovered motionlessly, almost as if it were watching them. Ellis couldn't help but wonder if it was watching. They touched down a few hundred meters from the structure, the same spot where they had first discovered the ancient building. The energy pulse had left a strange, shimmering aura in the air, like a heat wave distorting reality. The structure itself seemed unchanged, though its presence now felt ominous, as if it held a secret that was eager to be revealed. As they disembarked, Elise led the team toward the entrance. The atmosphere was thick with tension, every sound amplified in the silence. The alien object above remained still, but its very presence seemed to hum with hidden power. "Keep your eyes open," Elise said quietly, her pulse rifle at the ready. Samuel, carrying a portable scanner, focused on the structure's walls. "There's a lot more activity now. Something inside is reacting to the energy pulse." They reached the entrance where the strange, crystalline orb had once appeared. This time, there was no sign of the orb, but the wall itself had changed. What was once smooth and featureless now displayed intricate patterns, glowing faintly with an eerie blue light. "It's responding to us," Samuel whispered, running his hand along the wall. "But I don't think we're in control." Before Elise could respond, a low rumble echoed from deep within the structure. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and the walls began to shift, as if the entire building was awakening. "What the hell is that?" Marcus asked, his rifle aimed at the entrance. The rumbling grew louder, and suddenly, the door in front of them slid open with a sharp hiss. Beyond it lay a long, dark corridor, illuminated only by the faint glow of the alien symbols on the walls. Ellis took a deep breath. "We go in. Stay close." The team stepped inside, their footsteps echoing through the corridor. The air was cold, and the oppressive silence weighed heavily on them. The symbols on the walls seemed to pulse with life, casting strange, flickering shadows that danced in their peripheral vision. As they moved deeper into the structure, Samuel's scanner beeped urgently. "Captain, I'm picking up something," Samuel said, his voice strained. "There's a massive energy source ahead. It's off the charts." "Any idea what it is?" Elise asked, glancing over her shoulder. Samuel shook his head. "It's like nothing I've ever seen, but it's definitely tied to the object outside, and whatever it is, it's active." The corridor eventually opened into a vast chamber, and the sight that greeted them was beyond anything they had imagined. At the center of the room stood an enormous crystalline structure, suspended in midair by streams of glowing energy. It pulsed with a deep, rhythmic beat, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Surrounding the crystal were intricate machines, some organic, others mechanical, all connected by tendrils of light. Harper gasped. "Is that alive?" "It's more than alive," Samuel said, his eyes wide with awe. "It's a consciousness. I think this is the core of the entire system, the brain of whatever civilization built this place." As they approached the crystal, it suddenly reacted to their presence. The light within it flared, and the tendrils of energy reached out, wrapping around the team like ethereal vines. Elise felt a strange pressure in her mind, a presence brushing against her consciousness. "Stay calm," she ordered, though her own heart pounded in her chest. The energy tendrils seemed to scan them, probing their thoughts and memories. Elise could feel the presence sifting through her mind, searching for something. It was invasive but not hostile, as if it were trying to understand them. Then, without warning, a voice echoed through the chamber, not a voice they could hear, but one they could feel deep within their minds. "You are not the ones we sought, but you have awakened us." Ellis's body tensed. "Who are you?" "We are the architects of the forgotten. We existed long before your kind. We built the stars, shaped the galaxies, but we vanished into the void, awaiting the time of our return." Samuel's eyes widened in realization. The signal we intercepted, it wasn't just a message. It was a call to arms, wasn't it? You were waiting for someone to activate it. "Yes, the war that consumed our civilization is over, but the threat remains. We must awaken to ensure that the enemy does not rise again." "The enemy?" Marcus asked, gripping his rifle tighter. "Who are we talking about?" The crystal pulsed again, and images flooded their minds, vast fleets of ships, worlds consumed by fire, and a darkness that stretched across the galaxy. It was a vision of a war that had raged millennia ago, between the architects and an enemy so powerful it had brought their civilization to the brink of extinction. "They are the Silent Ones," the voice continued. "A force that devours life, consuming all in its path. They were defeated, but not destroyed. If they return, the galaxy will fall." Ellis's mind reeled with the enormity of what she was hearing. "Why are you telling us this? We're not part of your war." "You are now." The voice was final, unwavering. "You have awakened the architects. Now you must choose, fight with us or perish with the rest." The chamber fell silent as the presence withdrew, leaving the team standing in the shadow of the crystalline structure, its light dimming once again. Ellis looked at her crew, their faces pale with the weight of the revelation. They had stumbled onto something far larger than they could have ever imagined, a war that had raged across the stars before humanity had even existed. "We need to get back to the ship," Elise said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind. "And we need to prepare. Because whether we like it or not, we're part of this now. The weight of legacy. Back aboard the ESS Horizon, Captain Elise Carter and her crew returned with the full weight of the alien revelation bearing down on them. The silent atmosphere on the ship mirrored the crew's thoughts. They had uncovered an ancient war far beyond their comprehension, and now found themselves unwitting players in a galactic conflict that had begun millennia ago. Ellis gathered her senior officers in the briefing room. Marcus, Samuel, and Harper sat around the circular table, the low hum of the ship's engines providing the only sound as the weight of what they had just experienced hung in the air. "We've awakened something beyond anything we imagined," Elise began, breaking the silence. "These architects have a history buried deeper than the stars themselves, and they've pulled us into their war. Now, we need to decide how to handle this." Samuel, still poring over the data on his tablet, looked up. "Captain, this isn't just about us. If what the architects said is true, and this enemy, these silent ones, are still out there, it could mean the end of more than just this crew. It could mean the end of everything." Marcus leaned forward, his expression hard. "But we can't fight a war we don't understand. We don't even know who or what the silent ones are. Hell, we've barely gotten a grasp on who these architects are." Harper, the communications officer, added softly, "The galaxy doesn't even know this threat exists. If we're going to do something, we can't do it alone. We need allies." Elise nodded, her gaze distant. The architect's message was clear. Whether we want to or not, we're involved now. But you're right, this isn't a fight we can win alone. She looked out at the stars through the large viewport. "We have to make a decision. Do we take this message back to Earth, tell them what we found and risk causing a panic? Or do we try to learn more, find a way to fight this without dragging the whole galaxy into it?" Samuel leaned back in his chair. "Captain, we have to face the truth. This war has already started again. We've triggered something ancient, something that's now in motion. If we don't take action, the silent ones will rise, and we'll be caught off guard." Elise considered his words. The data from the architects was staggering. The war they had fought had wiped out civilizations and scarred entire star systems. If the silent ones were truly capable of returning, humanity had little time to prepare. "We can't let fear dictate our decisions," Elise finally said. "We go back to Earth. We inform the Galactic Council, and we find out if there are any signs of these silent ones returning. In the meantime, we learn everything we can from the architects. If this fight is coming, we need to be ready." A call to arms. The decision was made, and the ESS Horizon set course for Earth. The journey home was long, and the crew used every moment to analyze the information from the architects. Their ship, designed for exploration, was now tasked with gathering intelligence on a war that had long been forgotten by the galaxy. Ellis spent most of her time with Samuel in the research lab. The more they uncovered about the architects' history, the more unsettling their situation became. The architects had been a civilization of immense power and knowledge, their technology beyond anything humanity had ever seen, yet even they had barely survived their war with the Silent Ones. Samuel tapped his console, bringing up a holographic map of the galaxy. "Look at this. These red points here," he said, pointing to several distant regions of space, are locations where the architects fought the Silent Ones. These systems were devastated, planets turned to dust, stars extinguished. Ellis studied the map, feeling the cold reality settle in. "That's what we're up against." "It's worse than that," Samuel continued. "The Silent Ones, they don't just destroy, they consume. Everything they touch becomes part of them, organic or mechanical. That's why the architects' war was so desperate. They weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to stop themselves from becoming part of the enemy." Marcus, standing nearby, frowned. "And now we've woken them up." Elise closed her eyes for a moment, trying to focus. "We have to figure out their weaknesses. The architects didn't destroy them, but they stopped them once. There has to be something we can use." Samuel nodded. "We'll keep digging. The key might be in their technology. As the ESS Horizon drew closer to Earth, they received a message from the Galactic Council requesting an immediate debrief. Elise knew that once they presented their findings, the galaxy would never be the same. But there was no turning back now. Humanity's warning. The council chambers on Earth were filled with representatives from every major faction in the galaxy. Elise stood before them, her team flanking her as she presented the data. The images of the ancient war, the devastation left in the wake of the Silent Ones, and the immense power of the architects played on the large screens behind her. For too long, we've assumed the galaxy is safe, Elise said, her voice steady. But we've discovered a threat that predates all of us. The Silent Ones are real, and they're still out there. If we don't prepare, they will return, and when they do, there won't be a galaxy left to save. The room was silent as the council members absorbed the weight of her words. Murmurs of disbelief and fear spread through the crowd, but Elise continued. We're not asking for panic. We're asking for action. The architects fought this war alone, and they barely survived. But we don't have to face it alone. We need to come together. Share our knowledge, our technology. Build a defense before it's too late. One of the council members, a tall, blue-skinned alien from the Keltari Federation, stood. And how do we know this threat is real, Captain? Your data is impressive, but we've seen no signs of these Silent Ones. What proof do you have that they still exist? Elise met his gaze. The architects were clear. They may be dormant now, but the Silent Ones are not destroyed. We've already seen evidence of their return, subtle, but there. Increased energy fluctuations in distant systems, strange readings in abandoned sectors. We can't ignore the signs. Another representative spoke up, her voice stern. If what you say is true, Captain, then we are facing a threat unlike any other. But rallying the galaxy will take time. We will need more than warnings. We need proof. Elise took a deep breath. Then we'll find it. The ESS Horizon will continue to investigate, but we need your cooperation. We can't do this alone. After a long moment of deliberation, the council leader, a human representative from Earth, stood. Captain Carter, you have our support, but the clock is ticking. Bring us the proof we need, and may humanity's ingenuity guide you. The Silent Ones awaken. Back on the ESS Horizon, Elise and her team were already preparing for their next mission. The galaxy's leaders had agreed to provide resources. The burden of finding definitive proof of the Silent One's return rested on Elise and her crew. Samuel was deep in thought as he worked at his station. I've been reviewing the data from the architects. There's one system, on the far edge of the galaxy, where the energy signatures match the ones we've seen. If the Silent Ones are stirring, that's where we'll find them. Elise nodded. Set course for that system. We're going to get the proof we need. As the ESS Horizon slipped into faster-than-light travel, the crew braced themselves for what was to come. They had already uncovered a secret that had been buried for eons, but now they were on the verge of something even more dangerous. Hours later, they arrived in the remote system. The stars were eerily quiet, the vast emptiness of space stretching out before them. But as the ship's sensors began scanning the area, a chill ran down Elise's spine. Captain, Samuel whispered, his voice trembling, I'm picking up something massive. It's cloaked, but the energy signatures, it's them, it's the Silent Ones. The ESS Horizon's view screen flickered, and suddenly, a dark, shadowy fleet emerged from the void, silent, massive, and ready to strike. Elise's heart pounded in her chest. We need to get this data back to the Council. Now. But even as she spoke, the Silent Ones began to move, their ships gliding forward with eerie precision. The war had begun again, and humanity stood at the front lines.